Hello, everyone. This is Jamerica with Jamerica Life. If you're watching on your phone, this is a better view. If you're watching on your computer, well, I'm so sorry. I I ain't orientated right, I guess. Let me see if I can change it. I don't think so. No, no, it won't allow me to do it. It's just turning it around. So, um, today we're going to talk about. Well, first of all, I came back home. We went away for the weekend, and while we were gone, my friend was driving and he saw people chasing the wildlife. He said it looked like a bear. Now, I know there's a lot of state parks where, um, let me go back to the beginning. This is Jamerica with Jamerica Life, and this is going to be about what's happening with the wildlife as far as us um, encroaching on their space because we built so many houses that there's no place for them to go except in our neighborhoods. In some cases, in a lot of cases, I know in this neighborhood we have coyotes, and a lot of people. Hello, JS. How are you doing? There have been people who have mistaken a coyote for a German Shepherd. Hopefully, this never happens to you because there have been people who have been attacked by wildlife and they thought maybe it was a dog or they knew it was a wild animal and they decided that it would be interesting to get close up footage with their phone or something and or chase them or try to catch them, and that is never a good idea. I put out a video yesterday and it was a short, and my rooster, Mr. Bardrock, he cockadoodle dooed. And there was someone who said, "Oh, that sounds fake." And then it came to me, I said, we have grown so accustomed to being in an environment that does not have any wildlife that we do not know what wildlife sounds like. And some of them are a lot of them are dangerous actually. So, um while he was driving, so there was a guy in this neighborhood. Well, there are several times coyotes have taken people's dogs and basically took them into the woods for dinner. Um, and then there was a guy who got attacked. He and his dog got attacked by what they thought, a brown and white dog. That's a coyote. I used to chase him with a vehicle. I wasn't on foot. We used to have to get them off the flight line. If they go on the flight line, we don't want them to come back. So they usually get what we call in chicken terminologies, they usually get cold. Because once they dig in and they figure out there's rabbits in there, they'll come back again and again and again. And can't have that when you have planes and people and cargo. So let me put my mosquito stuff up because they're out. They got me a couple of times this morning. Where am I going to put it? Right here. They got me a couple of times. Maybe the matches away from me. So um there have been times where people have mistaken wildlife for someone's dog or yeah, someone's dog. And even if it's coyotes are big. Coyotes are about the size of a German shepherd, and they're never alone. They travel in packs. You see one, you're going to see two, and there's probably five more in the bushes. So never ever let your dog chase one of those animals, or you should never chase one of those animals. Back away slowly, and if you have a knife or any weapon, um, be prepared to fight, probably for your life, because some of them are dangerous. Coyotes are they're predators. They mostly like dogs, though. They don't go after people too much unless they have cubs. So my calamunda went bad. So he saw, because we were out in the woods in somewhere in Texas, and these people seemed to be chasing a baby bear. Why? Why? He said that the animal was galloping because I got there first. He came in later. The animal was galloping like a bear, and then it climbed the tree. Now, baby bears, or the smaller bears, the baby ones, or the juvenile ones, they'll climb the tree and try to get away from you. But their mama and their family might be around. So why would you try to run and videotape it? Because it's not worth it. The size of a brown bear, they're big enough to tear you apart. You don't do stuff like that. I don't understand why you would risk your life just to take a video. You know how I would take a video? Window closed, and even then I wouldn't want to be anywhere near them. Window closed with a video camera through in the window, not opened. Because they come to your car, they break that window. They get mad enough. So they chase the bear, the baby bear, the juvenile bear up. Oh man, didn't go through. Now they're mad at me. I threw the tomato over the thing, and it didn't get it. um, they chased the baby bear up the tree. So I was like, what? So when we were leaving, or yeah, when he was leaving, um, he could hear pups in the brush. That means there's some coyotes that has a den there, and that's dangerous. So if it's a coyote, because I haven't seen a wolf yet. Well, I think I saw one in 20 years, and they are huge. That it couldn't have been a dog. It was way bigger than a dog. It had to be a wolf. And the thing was, I don't know, his head was 3.5 feet high from the ground. He was about 3.5 feet high, and I was driving. So I don't know why anybody would want to mess with the wildlife. My point is, we have grown so accustomed to being in the cities that we don't know what real sounds like. Example was the short that I did yesterday, and Mr. Bardrock crowed, and somebody said that sounds like a fake crow. I mean, we're so used to our food, our everything being fake, and us being so comfortable in the inner city that we need to take ourselves out of that environment in order to get a reality check. Because if you ever have to go, or you ever end up in a wooded area, you need to know what to look out for. There's snakes, there's wild boar. I'm just naming a few. There's bears in some cases. There's wolves, coyotes, foxes, raccoons. I go on and on. So you have to be careful, and you can't just venture off into. I mean, if you're in a wooded area, you have to be really careful. So my point is, in these state parks, there are cabins that people can rent. You don't have to go out there and rough it. You ain't got to pop no tent. You don't have to do that just to get yourself reacclimated to nature and know what real stuff sounds like. You could say after a while, you'll look at whatever, pooped, and you'll say, okay, we had deer out here. Okay, we had coyote out here. Based on what they left behind, you can tell sometimes. But you need to know what that stuff looks like. And in order to do that, you can't just watch a YouTube video and do a visual, because there's nothing like being out there hands on. Nothing. So there are cabins that you can rent from these state parks. Instead of checking into a hotel, go to the cabin. It's basically a house. You drive out there. They have houses. I found some more when we were out there, and we were driving around. We ended up in one of the state parks, and you wouldn't believe how beautiful these things are. There are log cabins, and they have grills outside, and very few people use them. Most of them were empty, and that was this weekend. And I was like, man, all of this stuff. I said, I didn't know this was out here. We got lost. I said, I didn't know this was out here. And oh my God, do you want to talk about peace? My goodness. And it's a house. There was about 8 of them, 8 log cabins, and it was like a circle in the park. And they don't cost that much. They're actually cheaper than going to a hotel. Now, there may be some people who don't want to go in the middle of the woods, and they don't feel comfortable in the middle of the woods, or they don't feel comfortable, but it's a state park. Guess what's out there also? State police officers they rove that area. I've seen them. They drive around and they check. They do point checks, and they do it 24 hours. So it doesn't cost that much to rent a log cabin. If you want to pop a tent, fine. But I suggest, slowly getting yourself into it. Let me see what's going on in the chat. Growing my own. How are you doing? Shay J. Shay J. How are you doing? My thoughts exactly. If there's a cub and the mama bear is to be, yeah, she was probably somewhere near there. That was the problem. They chased the darn thing. He said, I wasn't there. He said they chased it up the tree. And I said, well, maybe it was a dog. He said, no, no, dogs don't climb trees like that. And he said the thing held onto the tree and came up. That's a bear. It's either a bear or, shoot, bobcat, which is meaner. Meaner. So let me see what else. Shay J, I love nature, but I would prefer to see my wildlife in the zoo. Sometimes, think about this. If your car breaks down and you're on a road, I'm just in Texas, you got to think about that because there's a lot of open land out here still. There's a lot. You just have to, I mean, I don't want anybody to say, I don't want you to say you need to, you have to, but we don't know what real is anymore. We don't know. Being in the inner city, we're acclimated to things that happen in the inner city. We're real good at that, right? Oh, that's a car, that's a bus, that's a truck coming. We know what that sounds like, but we don't know when we hear coyote cubs, or we don't know that if there's a baby bear, there's a mama bear around, or I want to take a video. Everybody got their phones out nowadays. It's really, really interesting, and they're risking their lives for a little bit of footage. I mean, take a picture so you can report it to the park and say, hey, there are bears out here and people need to be aware because they're looking for food, because they're running out of land. And the only places that is a safe haven for most of these animals are the state parks. And guess where the state parks? They're not far from the road. Some of them are right off the road. So they might decide to cross the street. Deer are everywhere. But deer ain't gonna mess with you. Deer gonna run up into the brush. The only thing they'll do is stop in front of your car and maybe you'll wreck your car. A lot of people run into deer. Let me see. Chad Smith. Hello, how are you doing? Welcome, welcome. So I just wanted to talk about that because it was not good. No bueno. No bueno. And then at nighttime, there are snakes out there, right? So if you're in the pitch black, right? People who have not been out there don't even think about, hey, there's snakes out there and some of them are poisonous. So if it's pitch black, you need to carry a stick. You need to carry a stick so you can pop them on the top of their head hard as you can. That'll usually stop them. Hopefully you hit them. Unless you want to carry something else, something better than a stick. But a stick is a minimum that you should have out there, especially at night. Or if you're like you have if you see a bunch of wood piled up, don't just go in there and move that wood or sometimes a trash bin. It might be a snake under there and it might be poisonous. And then, there are certain snakes that are more aggressive than others. You can use things like snake away and all that stuff and stuff to deter snakes. But if you have little vermin like mice and squirrels, you're going to have snakes in the rural areas, or even in here. We got coyotes in the neighborhoods. It's becoming, the wildlife is moving into the inner city. It's not the same. Deer are moving into the inner city. Deer are in the inner cities now here in Texas. So I don't like preaching to people, but when I heard about, and I've heard the wildlife out there because I go out in the woods occasionally, right? And I hear it and I'm like, okay, that's this. Because if you stay out there long enough, you know what's what. And if it's pitch black out there, don't let your little chihuahua out. Because coyotes will snatch them things up. Coyotes have been known to take 20-pound dogs and run off with them. And you'll never see them again because the coyote's hungry. There have been videos where people's dogs have been running for their life to the cabin or running for life to the trailer or the house, and the coyote just comes and get them. They got them on camera. So be careful when you're out there, but we all need to know what stuff looks like and what it sounds like and what areas not to, venture into, like walking through high grass. There's going to be snakes in there. It's just going to happen. So I know there's four people in here right now, and I am not the authority on wildlife, but when somebody don't know what a rooster sound like, it's concerning. And when they say, you pasted that sound in, I'm like, what? That's a real rooster that was driving me crazy. Mr. Bartrock, he had to go. He had to go. He had to go to the country. So I came out here today also because I got some calamundins back here, and some of them were ready. Is this one ready? One fell off, but it was no good. My calamundins are doing good. We just got back. We had to build a chicken coop out there, bigger than this. Well, I got to get the pen bigger than this one, but the actual coop is bigger. That video will come out later on today. We were out there, and sometimes these small projects, they take forever. They take forever. You don't know how big the project is until you actually start it. And of course, we had a weapon out there because of the wildlife. My dog, she ran off, and Philomena doesn't run off, right? There was a deer. There was two deer out there, and she started chasing them. And I thought to myself, what if that was a coyote? She would have tried to chase a coyote. Finally, I'm screaming her name and screaming her name, and she got tired apparently and came back. And I'm like, you would have been a tasty snack for them. They would have been so happy. You just don't. I mean, the dogs, unless your dog is super well trained, and I thought mine was until the other day, keep them on a leash. And people don't like tethering animals, but shoot, if them jokers run off like that, tether them so they go to the bathroom, or keep them on a leash and walk them around and put them back up. Because she ran off, and I was like, if she goes off into that brush, I ain't going out there for her. She gonna have to find a way back. I'm not gonna go out there and get all bit up behind her. She ran in there. She need to figure it out. Does anybody have any questions in reference to going out into the woods? I just want to make y'all aware. Those renting those cabins is not, maybe $70, maybe, depending on which one you want. And if you want to camp out there, it's even less. I don't like camping. I was in the military. I camped all the time. Mandatory fun is what I called it. We had to put up GP mediums, pup tents. I mean, we had the little shelter house back then, digging trenches around. I know I do all that stuff, and I didn't like it. I don't like camping. I've had I've had people ask me to go camping and told them no. No. I've done it a lot of time. We had field training exercises, command post training exercises, all kind of stuff. So living in I know how to live with the bare minimum. We lived in bee huts in Afghanistan, which was basically plywood houses with two split systems on the sides. I've been to the field where we had tents. Actually, we had one time the tent, if it starts raining and you don't put that tent up right, it'll collapse in on you. And that almost happened to us. It was me and another guy. And people react differently when stuff happens. So there's a bunch of soldiers or girls. This is all this was a female tent. There's a bunch of girls sitting in there upset. They see the pole coming in because the thing was getting ready to collapse, and our GP medium was getting ready to collapse. Me and I run outside because I see it getting ready to collapse. They're panicking and didn't know what to do. I run outside. It was pouring rain. I never forget. It was pouring rain, and me and another E5, we had to stake it back in. We had to push the pole because he was stronger than me, and then I had to like peg it back in because the thing was just, the wind was so bad, the storm was so bad that it was gonna fall in on us. It was gonna fall in. Hi, Miss Shirley, OG Gardner. How you doing? So, I mean, being out there and knowing how to do stuff like that. Now, it's been a long time since I put up a tent. I'm gonna tell you the truth. And because of the experiences that we had to go through, because we didn't have no choice. You going, you going, or you ain't gonna, you gonna be in Leavenworth, and that's the Jail. You going. So because of the experiences I have, I don't enjoy camping. I don't like none of that stuff. I know I do it. I know how to do a lot of that stuff, but I do not like it. I don't like it. I don't like taking baths out of a we used there's no water, there was no showers out there, and we used a big old trailer with water, right? Sometimes we had water bladders out there, which is basically a water containment system. You can buy them, by the way. They're way cheaper than those barrels and those water rain catchment systems that they said. Now they're not as durable, but the bladder will last you. Some of them guarantee for 5, 10 years. The bladder is just a big old thick plastic bag that you fill with water, and it's easier to carry. Because I went to Lowe's the other day, and those water catchment systems, like 250 gallons, they're expensive first of all, and they're heavy. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna drag this. I'm gonna go get a bladder. So a bladder, you can buy it on Amazon or you can buy it on the internet, and you just put it somewhere, put your hose on it, and fill it up with water, and it expands. It's not as heavy, it's not as durable either though. But we used that in Thailand. We went to Thailand for 90 days. Well, I was in Thailand 90 days. And that's what we use for shower water. And yeah, that's what we used to shower, because there was no water out there. There's no water out there. So if you're worried about your water, that's an option, a bladder. And for drinking, we did the reverse. We had a rope u, which is a vehicle that does reverse osmosis. You could take seawater and make it out of water with that vehicle. I don't know if it tears it up. It probably does with all that salt. But you can, if there's ways you can purify water, but you got to have water. The bladder is way cheaper and way lighter for us people who are getting elderly, because I know I've been working so hard in this field. I shouldn't say field, my garden, that my wrist has started to hurt. And I was like, man, that ain't nothing but age. Some of us can't carry 200-300 pound barrels, or I mean even the 55-gallon drums. I can't move those things. I have to drain it and then move it. I'm not strong enough. My friend, he could probably do it because he's a man. Men are stronger. Most men are stronger than us. So the bladder is the way to go, and you could put it where you want to put it. There's always options. People always talk about, well, you need to collect water, you need to put it in barrels, or you need to put it in these big old expensive containers. That thing, I looked at one at Lowe's, it was $1,500. I was like, oh no, no, I ain't got $1,500, but I do have a couple $100, if that, to fill up a bladder. Water bladder is what it's called. And we used them. We used them in Thailand, and I was there 90 days, and that's what we use for water. Growing my own. We Jamaicans don't take chances with wildlife. We stay as far as possible. I know the alligators and all that stuff. People going in and stuff, chasing in. Shoot, no. What is wrong with you? Chasing wildlife? I don't want to be nowhere. They can run way faster than us. They could, you can't outrun them. There's a one where this lady is on a bike and a bear is chasing her, and she's pedaling her little butt off, trying to get away from this huge. He looked like he was the size of a mini. He looked like he was in the size of a minivan. That joker was big. Girl, my own. Yeah, my mama's Jamaican. Mm-mm. My mama don't want nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with it. I'm more adventurous than she is. My grandmother, she had a machete all the time. So it was for the grass. Jason Bunch, coffee grounds, eggshells, worms, castings, fish emulsion, and manure. The recipe for a great grow. Oh, okay. But that stuff, let me tell you something. I want to make my own fertilizer. I do. And my own tea, compost tea. But I need to put it away from everybody, because that, especially the fish stink to high heaven. My grandmother used to collect all of our vegetables, any vegetables she had left over, cuttings of fruits and vegetables. She'd take that And she eggshells, all of that. I do that right now. I do the same thing she used to do. I take all of my anything I cut up, like if I have the the tops of the tomatoes or the tops of the bell pepper, anything I don't use, I throw it out into the yard because that goes back into the land. So I always do that, especially eggshells. We put that. That's a West Indian thing. Everybody put eggshells in their potted plants, even in your potted plants. Now I suggest you wash them off, or you're gonna have some other problems. But or bake them and crush them up and put them in there. But eggshells, fish heads. My grandmother used to use fish heads, but shoot, that stuff stinks up. That will stink up your yard. So you gotta be careful where you put that stuff. Just like that fish emulsion smells bad, if you do a compost tea, move it away from your house because it's gonna have a bunch of flies. It's gonna be a bunch of gnats. It's gonna be a bunch of mosquitoes. Everything is gonna be coming that way. So take it as far away from your property as possible and your neighbors, unless you don't like them. Jason Bunch. So does my okay, I can't say that, Jason. And Miss Shirley OG says, Jason Bunch, good morning. So he being bad. It's not legal out here in Texas. I can't say that. Shay J says, yeah, the fish emulsion brings, what is that? Carly's to my yard. I can't see. It brings everything. That fish emulsion, but it works. So when I'm going around here, I dilute it and I put it around here. But shoot, if I get it on my hands, I gotta use some lemon juice because fish gets into your pores. I'm fertilizing myself too. So yeah, the fish emulsion, I have to take it way out there and I have to be careful where I put it. I haven't done it yet, but I did do a snail compost. Remember when I collected all those snails? I never took them out of that bucket. They're still in there. And I'm gonna put some water in there and I'm gonna stir it around and I'm gonna do a snail emulsion. You don't have to buy fish. You can use what you got. Use all of your trash, all of your vegetable trash. Now the meat, the fish and the meat is gonna bring vermin. It's gonna bring other things. So don't get it close to your house. Take it way out there. And if you have chickens, of course, you can use the chicken manure, but you have to let that sit for about 6 months because that stuff will burn up your plants. It'll burn it up. Just like cow manure or any mammal stuff has to sit for a while and break down before you can use it, with the exception of rabbits. Rabbits and horses are in the same family, so I guess horses fall under the same category. I never baked eggshell, just let them dry naturally, grind them into mortar powder. I bake them because I also use them for my chickens because my chickens were having rubber eggs. So what I do is I stick them in the oven. Now when I'm throwing it in the yard, I don't when I throw them in the yard, I don't necessarily bake them. But if I'm using them in the house, I'll bake them because I don't want any bugs. I don't want any bugs coming in the house. I just had to spray around here because the bugs are bad this year. Bad. So when I use it on the indoor plants, that's when I bake them and I crush them down. Otherwise, I just throw the future fruits, vegetables, and eggshells, not fish heads though, out there. I don't throw any meat products around my house because we have roof rats. I haven't seen any this year. Maybe they came around and put some poison down for us because I haven't seen them this year. But we had roof. They were bad. What was it? 2, 3 years ago during the pandemic. Oh my God! During the lockdown, my I have motion sensor lights, right? And I have cameras everywhere. And those jokers were bad. This is before the chickens. And I started putting down poison everywhere. And I was finding mama rats, baby rats. They were everywhere. It was so bad. It was so bad. And I know they're not gone, but at least I guess everybody started putting down some stuff because they were really bad. So if you put down fish heads and stuff that's gonna feed those excuse me, is gonna feed those type of animals, don't put it near your house because if you have vermin, you're gonna have snakes in Texas at least. Oh, Shantae G. How you doing? How are you doing? Consciously living. How are you doing? Welcome. We're talking about not messing with the wildlife and trying to control the wildlife and keeping them away from your property. I told a story about how my friend saw somebody chasing a baby bear, most likely, allegedly. Or if you hear something that sounds like baby pups, that's probably a coyote den. Get away. And if you see, this happened to my girlfriend. She was going to somebody's house. We have wild boar around here, and they are mean, mean creatures. Mean. As a matter of fact, in Austin, they have, I've seen signs like at Callahan's where if you bring in, they were paying people to cull them. $5 a tail. So if you bring in the tail of a wild boar, as many as possible, they pay you $5 a tail. Those because they're destructive. They're tearing up the crops. And we have farmers out here on the outside of Austin, in the towns surrounding Austin, and they go in there and they destroy the crops, or they eat meat. They'll attack you, especially if it's a female with babies. If you drive up on one, turn your lights off and pray. Just sit there until because if she feels like her babies are in danger, she'll try to get you in your car. So don't get out the car, by the way. Don't get out the car. Mm-mm. Don't get out that car. Them things are dangerous. And I got some. I got some. I've seen, I drove out to, where was I in? Lockhart, which is outside of Austin, a city outside of Austin. And someone had found a pack, or whatever you call it, of wild boar and had culled them. And they were lining the side of the road. And I was just happy that they were gone because those things are terrible animals. They're bad. And they make trails. So if once they start coming somewhere, you'll see a trail. And then you check to see what kind of scat is left behind, which is their excrement. And you say, is wild boar out here? Because that's what it looked like. And this is how they're traveling. Because they'll knock down all of them. You know how dogs make trails? So do wild animals. They try to follow the same trail. They stick to the rivers and the lakes that they're used to. But anyway, I know I've been on here and I've been, talking about this, but this is an interesting subject. In order to become familiar with what wildlife is and what dangers there is, like snakes, snakes are the main ones are out here. You have to know have to know what you're dealing with. Plus, every time we take a trip like that and go out into these cabins instead of going to a hotel, it makes you come back and it's just clarity. Because all you don't see any cars, you barely see any people, because the way they set up these cabins at these state parks, it's like catacombed, right? So you're not going to be looking over and waving at your neighbor. It's all set up for privacy. I'm gonna try to say your name, Jor Gigor Gigora. This is my first year gardening in my backyard. I have bunnies, birds, squirrels that think they pay my mortgage. Rabbits are the worst. Squirrels are almost as bad, but rabbits around here will rob you. They will eat your plants down to a nub. If they find something they like, they particularly like beans. They ate all my string beans. I had some contender beans. They ate it until there was just a stick out the ground. And they're in there also. But I planted so densely that I think they're eating the sweet potato leaves, so I could share with them because there's too many of them anyway. There's a lot of rabbits around here, a lot of rabbits. But I'd rather the rabbits than the rats, and there were rats around here. I shouldn't say that; they might hear me. There were rats, and rats, they carry diseases. They carried big time diseases, and ours were up in the trees. They were building their nest. There was a nest up here in this lime tree, and a rat lived in here. I looked at one of my spider plants. what are the? Well, let me see if I can find one. I looked at one of my spider plants, like this one, and she was inside and came to the side to look at me, and thought I couldn't see her. That happened a couple of years ago. That's when I started. That's when I started putting down poison, because I said I can't have them around here. They bring diseases. So that's why I'm careful with the fish heads and the and anything besides vegetables. They don't particularly go after vegetables because there's nothing but vegetation out here, so they got plenty of that. But when it comes to meat and stuff that can rot, like the snails, I left them in the bucket. I didn't put them out. Let me see who else is here. Rochetta, Monique, how you doing? Miss Shirley OG Gardner. I have deer, groundhogs, raccoons, and possums for neighbors. Wow. Wow. We have the same. Let me see. We have the deer. We don't have the groundhogs. I've never seen a groundhog around here. But the raccoons, raccoons. That's another one that you don't play with. I used to do security for Austin, right? The airport. And anything that got on the airfield, it either had to get eliminated or we had to run it off. Raccoons have hands. I didn't realize, because I'm originally from New York, I didn't realize that raccoons had hands until, well, that was 20 years ago. Until 20 years ago. Because I'm from the city. I'm a city girl. Even though I was in the military, we didn't deal with that stuff. They left us alone because we were out there. Animals don't like when you're at the range. They don't like hearing that. They don't like that. And we usually, if we're doing a field training exercise or a command post training exercise, it's usually near a range. Animals stay away from them places. So I wasn't used to it. I had never seen a raccoon up close. Them jokers have hands. And he or she was and they travel alone, by the way. Raccoons will travel alone unless they're a female. And that thing was running, right? And I was in my vehicle playing, chicken with it. Chicken is when you come up on it and make it run, come up on it, make it run. I didn't want to kill it. I just wanted it to leave. Now, there's some of my coworkers who would have ran it over. And that thing, and we have barbed wire. These fences are like 10, 12 feet high with the barbed wire on top. And them raccoons don't care. They get over it. They got hands. So I saw the little hands going up. That raccoon went in between the barbed wire and turned around at me and snarled just before he jumped over the fence, or she. Mad at me. It was on the flight line. So that's what I'm talking about. They ain't scared of us. Coyote ain't scared of us either. They ain't scared of us. They ain't scared of us no more because we have built, in Austin especially, we have built so many houses. They ain't got nowhere to go. So now they're fighting for their survival. And they're going in the neighborhoods, knocking over trash cans and doing what they do, doing what they have to do to survive. And then they go back up into the parks. There's a park out here that coyote live in. I know for sure. And every now and then somebody gets attacked. And there's nothing you can do about it. And they're building a trail through there. And I'm like, I ain't going up in there. I ain't going up in there to be attacked by no hungry animal. They see my dog and say, ooh, she's all nice and Philomena. She's all nice and plump. She can't run very fast. No. This Shirley OG Gardner said they can open anything. Yep. Bears, raccoons. I don't know about possums. I remember when I was in Louisiana, we was trying to catch a possum. We were trying to cull it. We was trying to have it for dinner. We were going to have that joker for dinner. As greasy as they are, we were going to have them for dinner. And what was the other one? Deer. You can't touch the deer unless it's hunting season. They'll come and get you. He's going to lock you up. Game warden come and get you. That's the only, the game warden is the only law officer that can he don't need no warrant or she don't need no warrant enough. They come in your house and search it. And if they find something you ain't supposed to have, well, you in trouble. Miss let me see. Prepper Rookie, how you doing? Miss Shirley OG Garden, they can open anything. Prepper Rookie is saying hi. H2 Savior said hello. Prepper Rookie said they can turn doorknob. Yes! and walk in on you. Don't leave your door open. There's a video of car doors, all that. House. You leave that door open, they'll walk in on you. And it'd be like Goldilocks. I mean, you'll feel like that ain't your house. You just visited and it's their house. So they've learned to do all this stuff. They've learned to flip open the lids or knock over the garbage can or crawl on top of the garbage can and just throw everything out. And they know how to open the doors, car doors, house doors, garage doors. Well, not garage doors, not hopefully never garage doors, just regular doors. They know how to open those things. So lock them, lock them. Shay J, I know people who eat raccoon too. Yeah, I know. I have never eaten raccoon, but I'll never say what I won't eat. My grandmother, my grandmother taught me not to do that. She said, never, ever, ever say what you won't eat. She made us, um, if we said we were going to eat something, that old lady would go and find it in New York City and feed it to us. And then tell us it was something that she was terrible. She would tell us it was something else. We'd be like, Grandma, that don't taste like that. That don't taste it. Why is it so lean? And then she'd tell us after we finished eating, then she'd tell us what it was. And she said, you should never, ever snub up your nose to anything and say, I'll never eat that. Because you never know what you're going to have to eat. There are a lot of things that people have to eat. People eat, I'm not going to say any disgusting things. People eat stuff, and what they think is a delicacy, we think is disgusting. Just like we eat stuff that they don't eat. Some countries, you don't eat cow, and we love a good steak. So everybody's different. Every culture is different. You should never, unless you're allergic, then don't eat it, of course. But I mean, you never know. You never know what you're going to do. Starve? Trust me, I've been hungry, extremely hungry. And after a while, the hunger goes away, but it's always there. And the minute you get something to eat, it's like you feel like an animal. That's what it breaks down to, because you got first not food is you could go about 3 weeks without food, but you go about 3 days without water. Now that's another thing. So when the electricity goes out, right, that happened here in Austin during Uri. We had that. This was not the last freeze, but the one before that. Our water got contaminated. We couldn't drink the water. Had a boil water notice, and God knows if that helps. And don't go out there and just drink willy-nilly, even if it's water coming out your tap. Sometimes it's not safe. And the thing is, by the time you get the notification through the mail, you already drank the water for about a week. You already in trouble. And a lot of people will get sick from dysentery. Get sick. You don't want that. I've had it. It's horrible. Horrible. And you can't everything just leaves your body. You don't want that. And it's from drinking contaminated water. So another thing is to learn how to purify water with the Clorox and boil it or get something. I got my mother, because New York had a problem with water. My mama's water was bad. And I bought her that zero water. They used to be like $20-$30, but now they're running for about $50, but they're cheaper than the other option. And guess what? From what I've discovered, they're better than a lot of the other filtration systems, and they're cheaper. I had one climb the drain pipe to my second floor apartment and came inside. I screamed, and it jumped and ran back onto the porch and peeked back at me. I ran off the porch. And they got them, if it's a raccoon, they got them black things around their eyes. Oh, I know what they look like. And he probably used his hand, look. Are you still there? I want to get something to eat. Can I get a little bit of bread? Shay J, yeah, we do need to learn how to do things for ourselves again, not just growing our own food. Yes, everything. And the thing is, I ate McDonald's how many days ago? I ate McDonald's about a week or so ago. Talk about sick. I didn't feel good after I ate that. I haven't eaten fake food for a long time. I shouldn't say fake food, commercialized food for a long time because I normally try to cook my own food. But we don't know what wildlife is. We don't know a lot of things that, like Jamaicans, most of the Jamaicans, when you need a chicken, you go to the chicken lady. Normal Jamaicans that live in the country part, which is Montego Bay area, shoot, even in Spanish Town, Clarendon, Clarendon. I mean, there's counties, or even they live differently. And guess what? When they get a chicken from the chicken lady, because I didn't realize this until I went to Jamaica and we went to the chicken lady to get some chicken. They were like, "Oh, we don't have any chicken." Well, I was at staying with somebody. She says, "Man, I'm out of chicken. I need to go and get some chicken." She called up a lady in the town, right? And we go to the chicken lady, and she got the chicken in a bag. I don't know how long she had the chicken, because usually you have to let the chicken sit for a little while. Man, there was no fat on that chicken. None. None. And I called a rooster, and there's no fat on the rooster. So I was like, and chicken is just the species. A rooster is a chicken. You have hens and roos. You have hens and roosters. They're both chickens. So the stuff we're buying from the supermarket, I'm like, why does it look different? It looks different because it is different. It's commercialized. They feed it all. They shoot them up with all kind of stuff, and they feed them different stuff, and that's better than going to these fast food restaurants because God knows what you're eating. Miss Shirley OG Gardening is saying hello to GWIE. If I missed you, I'm sorry. Oh, Grown What I Eat, how are you doing? How are you doing? Welcome, welcome. But the thing that the main part, the main thing is that I suggest if you don't like going in tents like me, even though I've been in them more than once, that's why I don't like them. That damp, musty, ugh. So there's a smell that gets into a khaki tent. There's a smell that gets into a tent. It just has a smell after a while, even if it's plastic. And the more you use it, the moldier it smells. And I don't like it. I don't like it. So I go into the cabins. I rent a cabin. If I need, if it gets down to, you know, where I have to, okay, okay, I'll do it. I told you I wasn't a prepper. I'm a gardener. I'm a gardener with a couple of chickens. Homesteaders don't live in pup tents. Well, most of them don't. And people who live like that, they don't show you what it's really like. They don't show that tent falling down in on them. You in the middle of a storm like me and that guy. It was so bad. It was so bad. Normally, we were in our back then it was BDUs, battle dress uniforms, the green ones, before we switched over to the ACUs, which was the digitized looking ones. We were in our BDUs, just him and me, trying to put that darn thing back up while the other girls were inside panicking, panicking and letting the freaking tent fall in on us. And I knew that if it fell in, we were still going to be out there. It was just going to be wetter and more miserable inside the tent. I said, no, man. This thing got to we got to back up. Us two. Two people can make all the difference. Let me see. What is it? Spondeni Garden. How you doing? Prepper Rookie. High Growing. Shay J. I camped at the Renaissance Festival 1 year in October. I'm the middle of I'm the middle of the night and got up and slept in my car. It was damp, wasn't it? They don't tell you that part. You wake up and you're sticky. Man, and then my poor battle buddy, you gotta go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. I told her, you go out downhill Find somewhere and go to the bathroom. And don't go in no bushes because you're gonna have all kind of thistles and thorns in your you know what. You need to find a clear space, stamp it down if you have to, squat just enough to get, because women are different than men, just enough so you don't pee on yourself and come back. Shoot, you know when people pee on themselves in them tents because they scared to go out? If you don't have a toilet, and I wish I could take you out there because I have a portable toilet. You can get a toilet. You ain't got to get that bucket thing with the lime, because that's what we used in Thailand. We had a 5-gallon bucket with that toilet seat on top, and we didn't just use the bucket. What they did was we put a trash can on the outside, we put the lid on top, and every time you go, there was a bucket, a pail with some lime in it, right? And we took the lime out and put it on top of whatever we did. Everybody did that, and we had no problem with flies or mosquitoes and all that stuff, because they don't like that stuff. That lime, that crushed up lime, they don't like that. The lime covered it up, and it was fine. Diatomaceous earth does the same thing. I think diatomaceous earth might be more expensive. I'm not sure, but lime or those two, you ain't have no problem. Every time you go, number one or number two, you ain't gotta get no water, no nothing. What you want to do is dry it out. You put the lid on top. You go to the bathroom. Take that lime or diatomaceous earth, chop it on top, and you're good to go. And this is all you need in that lid. And you might want to get one of them. What we had was those handicap toilet. You know how the handicap have that thing with the things, the rails on the side. Somebody had rigged it. These army people are interesting because we have all kinds in the military. All kinds. People from the woods, people from the cities, people who are criminals, who the judge told them, yeah, if you either go join the army or go to jail. There's a song about that. But it takes all kinds, and everybody got different skills. That's what makes it so interesting. So that's what we used in Thailand for 90 plus days. I was there 90 days, but they were still there. I got there early. Let's see. Shantae G is saying hello. Growing What I Eat is saying he's doing well. Consciously Living is just saying hello to somebody. Shay J is saying hello. H2 Savior is saying, I have caught 2 raccoons, 2 possums, and 4 groundhogs in cages in the garden. I hear wild hogs are terrible. Yeah, they are. That's why they have that thing where they're offering $5 a tail. You bring the tail into Callahan's, and they give you $5 per tail because they're dangerous. That's the bad part. Especially the females when they have their young, they'll rip you apart. They'll rip you apart, your dog apart, everything. And they're not that easy to kill. You can handle a little 22 with that bull coming your way. You better have a double barrel. Let me not stop talking about that. But you better have something more than a little pow. Consciously Living, can you eat them? Yeah, but they're not a good eat. They're not. They're tough. They're wild boar. They're gonna taste wild. They're edible though. They're edible, but they're not gonna taste like the store stuff you're used to. They're gonna have it tastes funky. That's the taste, because I've eaten it. It's a funky taste. I went to Butchin is where we did that. We had one. Somebody got their little pow and offed it, and we brought it in, or somebody caught one and they brought it in, and everybody participates in butchering the hog. And everybody after the butching, that's what they call it in Louisiana. After the butching, everybody takes a little piece. Some people take a couple of pig feet. Some people take this. The women go inside and we make boudin and all that stuff. But it's they know how to do that stuff. Louisiana, some of the people, they real good at it. Real good. And the food is, oh my God. But it has a nasty, funky, it's sweet, funky, like, to me it tastes like rotten meat, but I knew it was fresh because we just culled it. So let's see. Did I miss anybody? Can't you cook wild? Yeah, you can. But nobody wants it because it's not a good eat. It doesn't taste good. It tastes like rotten meat. They don't taste the same because I got an ant on me. It doesn't taste the same because they don't eat the same, and they've been fighting for their life all their life. They living in the woods, trotting around, eating garbage and all kind of stuff. Let me see. A pig, a wild hog will eat a tin can if it get hungry enough. We caught two. Okay, I've said that one. Consciously living, can't you eat them? Yeah, you can, but it's not a good eat. Shay Jade, can't you cook wild hog too? Yeah, you can. Better season it real good to get rid of that sweet, sewerish. I didn't like it. Can you tell? But if you're hungry, Prepper Rookie said 0.308. I guess that's the gauge you should have. Cargo Hustler, hello from East Texas. So that's another thing. People have these little itty bitty, what am I going to call it? I'm going to have to stop in a minute. People have these little itty bitty things that they carry and they think that's going to stop a wild animal. Mm-mm. Nope. You better have something that can stop it. Not something to tick it off. Can't have a BB. Mm-mm. You need something better than that. Something that is going to go through. Cargo Hustler, hello from East Texas. Let's go inside because he's here to do this thing. Gonna get a little dark for a little while. Growing while they eat is saying hello to Cargo Hustler. Prepper Rookie, it says we soak and marinate it. Oh, that's what we did wrong. Cause we butched it and then we didn't. It was green meat. It wasn't aged or anything. And maybe that's why it was so funky tasting. It taste. It wasn't. It couldn't have been rotten because we just did it. We had just done it. So there's no way that it was deteriorated because it was just walking around. Let me see. So Prepper Rookie says you have to soak it and marinate it, then slow cook because it's tough. That's another thing. So we got a big old. It looked like a big witchy poo pot. It was real rustic out there. Okay, don't judge me. The people I hang out with were Army people. Who some of us, a lot of the people who join the military, we join because we don't have no money, and that's our way out. I couldn't figure out a way out of New York City. I didn't like it there. I didn't like it at all. I always dreamed of being somewhere where I could have horses, chickens and all kinds of stuff. And that's not a New York City lifestyle. So I joined the military to find a better life. A lot of my coworkers, we were mostly all in the same boat. Very few people with money join the military. It's usually the people who are trying to do better, who trying to find something to get them out of this situation. Sometimes, but I always wanted to be in the military. I always said that. You're just trying to find something to get you out of your situation. There's only one way to do that. You got to make some drastic changes and take some chances. And I did that as a woman. So, I'm not saying that everybody should do that. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I'm not saying that everybody should do that, but that's the only way I could see to get out of that situation because I didn't like New York City at all. Let's see. So you have to soak it. So you soak it in salt. Tell me more because I didn't like the way that meat tasted. Gina versus just Jeannie. Listening while working. Happy Monday, everybody. Prepper Rookie said, pre-soaking in cold water pulls the taste out. Okay. Well, maybe next time we're out in the sticks, I'll put a cage out because I'm finding scat out there, and I don't want a coyote though because I ain't gonna eat that. No, unless I'm starving. Consciously living. I just watched your okra video. Did the brine stay down after cooking it down? Yeah. I'm gonna take you over there. All the lids, I took all the lids off, right? Y'all see any mess, don't judge me. But here they are. See that? There's no lip on here. All 12 of them sealed. All 12. I'm gonna put it on my countertop. Now the upfront cost for those bottles is about $13 to $14. But you don't have to buy the bottles again. You just have to buy the lids, the little lids, not the thing. Don't ever throw out the screw tops. Never throw these out because then you'll have to rebuy them. Let me see. Never throw these out. You just have to rebuy the lids. The bottles you use over and over again. I'll do a couple more because I promised my friend, he came out there and helped me with my chicken coop, and I promised him that I would can some chicken for him. And I'll do that on film because he helped me out a lot. So I can go ahead and can up about, I don't know, 30, how many you had? 12 on there, 36 cans of chicken. She'd be like, what is wrong with you? You always overdoing stuff. So yeah, and when I can stuff, we're going off topic a little bit, but when I can stuff, but if you do catch any wild animal, you do what Prepper Rookie said. I hope I got the right person. Yeah, you do what Prepper Rookie said, and then if you want to can it, this is the book that I use. I do not stray away from this book. This book has a bunch of recipes in it, but all I want to know is how long I have to pressure can it for it to be edible. And once you pressure can that stuff, I have cans of chicken from 2021, and it's still good. So nutritional value goes down every year, but this is the book I use. Initially, I was watching other people, right? Then I realized some of these people don't know what they're doing. I saw one lady cranking down the jars, cranking down the lid. You saw I said, fingertip tight. And then none of her jars sealed. Because if you crank on that lip, if you crank it on, it ain't gonna seal for you because the air has to come out. Let's see. Prepper Rookie is saying hi. Shantae Jean, it says kudos and thank you for your service. Well, thank you. I did it because I wanted to get away. I stayed in. I didn't have to stay as long as I did. But a lot of us, we do it because, and after a while, you get so used to that lifestyle that you become afraid to get out. That's when the problem comes in. I had some friends who had been in, because I joined when I was 17. I had some friends that were in so long that they could not imagine themselves being out. And after a while, you get too old and your bones start hurting. In the military, they don't like sick people. You got to be able to deploy, not to these little field training exercises and basically camping. No, you're doing the real thing. You're doing the real thing. And the real thing, you normally, where I was, we lived in, I told you, huts, bee huts, which was plywood. Wish I had a picture of it. I probably do on one of my cameras. A bee hut is a bee style hut, right? You could live in a plywood house here in the United States. Those houses were made of plywood, and we didn't have windows. It took a big old piece of plywood, right, and screened it in, stapled the screen on, right? And on the outside, there was a big old piece of plywood and there was a block on top, and you move the block to the side and push it out and put a stick in it for the air to come through. We never put the window, we never opened it, but that's a bee hut. And then when we went to Iraq, I was in Baghdad at Camp Liberty. We lived in containers, no windows. We had a small, look, yes, there was a window. It was kind of like a window with no way to open it. They put plywood in it. It's a 40-foot container. They put plywood in between, and it was 3 of us. So they put 3 doors on a 40-footer, right? And they put little AC units, heating and AC units in what looked like a window. It wasn't really a window. And that's how we lived. We lived like that for a year. Afghanistan was the bee huts. Iraq was the containers, metal containers. And it was comfortable. I guess they insulated them well. I don't know what they did, but it didn't get super hot and super cold because everybody had their little own AC unit, even though there was plywood in between 3 of us. There's 3 of us in each container. Well, I'm sorry, that's based on rank, because some of my soldiers, they had to share. They put bunk beds in them bad boys and made them all share, a space. They cut the 40-foot in half, and they'd have 4 females on one side and 4 males on the other. Depends on how, the more rank you have, the more privacy you have. So that, I was in my own little space, but I had to share it with 3 other people with plywood in between. No privacy. If you belch, they could say, or if you sneeze, they could say, "Excuse you." No privacy, no bathroom. The bathroom was about a quarter mile away. We had to walk to the bathroom in both instances. Grabbing all your stuff. Talk about your to-go bag. Yeah, you had your to-go bag to go take a shower, and that was in another place. Let me see if I mixed. Let's see. Kudos. Thank you for the service. Prepper. Then rinse and marinate. Okay, so you soak it in cold water. Then you rinse it and you marinate it. How long do you soak it? Consciously Living Brown. And then how long? I mean, I marinate for like 24 hours. So I want to know how long you have to soak it. Miss Shirley OG Gardner is saying hello. Lord have mercy. I didn't mean to do that. Consciously say, okay, it turned back clear. Yeah. Yeah. So all of the once it settles down, what happens is the oxygen, while it's hot, all that hot air is pushing out, right? And you hear, you remember that sound it was making? That was the sound of it sealing. That means that enough air had escaped from inside that bottle for it to depress that little bubble that I showed you at the beginning of the vehicle, at the beginning of the video, not the vehicle. Miss Shirley OG Garden, eating and listening. Miss Shirley OG Garden said ring. Oh yeah, the canning ring. That's what it's called. Yes, thank you. Thank you. So the ring and the lids. The lids are the never throw out your rings unless they're rusty, like mine turned after a while, because that vinegar will eat them up. Never throw out your rings, because you don't want to buy that again. You won't buy none of this stuff again. And if you have to transport these jars, you just go ahead and lightly put on the ring. And the only reason why you have the ring on there while you're pressure canning is to hold the lid on in place where it's supposed to be, so it can seal properly. You do not take the ring off until 24 hours later. Leave the ring on there until, I didn't pull it off until I got back. That ring was on there until I got back last night. Shantae G said, wow. GT Jr. grows in Alaska. How you doing? Keep the story going, enjoying. Okay, where was I? Talking about Iraq and Afghanistan and our field fun. I'll be watching these people talk about, you need to learn how to live in a tent. Okay, yes. But what if you're not strong enough to put up a tent? Then what? What do you do then? And where you gonna go? You gonna be a nomad? I mean, some people can't leave their house. Some people can't go anywhere. If something breaks out, they just gonna have to tough it out where they are, where they're familiar. The only way I would leave is if I didn't have a choice. I didn't have absolutely no choice. I ain't just gonna pick up something break out and I just pick up out of my house or where I'm comfortable and go to where? Where are you gonna go? You can't just go on camp. You can't. You know, there's a YouTuber who shows how he's prior service too. He was in the Army. He shows how to build structures and field stuff. You can't just show up on somebody's land or any land and pop a tent. You can't do that. It's illegal. It's called trespassing. And some people will sugar you for it. Where you gonna go? You gotta have a destination. You can't just be willy-nilly walking around. You need to if you need to pick up and go, where you gonna go? You better have somewhere to go. That's why it's good to have a lot of backup people. So if your house is oopseo, and it's not necessarily a disaster, not a disaster, a violent, fighting situation. It's not that. It's usually going to be a natural disaster like these hurricanes, tornadoes. That's what we need to worry about. And as someone who cans, if you have one of them things, most of your stuff going to be gone. That's glass. Most of it's gonna be gone. It's gonna be gone. You could only do what you could do. The only reason why I have it is because we have, so a lot of the houses out here is electricity. A lot. A lot of the houses out here, electricity. And I told you about, we've got so comfortable. We don't know what the wildlife sound like. We don't know how to do all the things that our grandparents knew how to do. I mean, I'm not for popping no tent though in the middle of some erroneous field, because I ain't gonna do it. That's trespassing. People own land. Either it's owned by the state or it's owned by someone. And you better find out what it is, because if some of these people, they live out in these sticks for a reason, because they don't like people. That's why they out there. And they catch you out there. They set you. They have dogs. That they have all kind of wild, crazy stuff out there that on their property. And if you go out there, you're exposing yourself to it. So, no. No fun like that unless I'm authorized. Now, camping area during the Great Depression, the state parks allowed people to camp out there because they didn't have anywhere to go. That was the only place I know. And if things get really bad and a lot of people start, losing their place to live, all those places like Walmart that allow people to park out there, they're not going to let you encroach on people who are trying to purchase from there. So after a while, they'll be like, no more parking here. I remember that Home Depot, I think, used to let people park there, but then they started finding people who were basically trying to live there, and they kicked them. They told them no more. I know that down south at where were we? Port Aransas area, and where is it? Where were we? Seadrift, down on the coast. Seadrift especially. They allow people to camp out there, boondock, right? Do you know when people set up camp and they're living there now? And they're not, they're partying. I didn't like it out there because of that. I was like, this is not a good situation. This is not good. And the people who have bought their houses have these people boondocking, not necessarily boondocking. They live there basically on just off the beach. Like, because in South Texas, you could drive on the beach, I love it down there. North Padre, which is near Port Aransas, you can drive on the beach, put your truck. I don't even have to put it in four-wheel drive because everybody drives out there, and just sit there with your vehicle right there on the water. Just sit on the back of your pickup or whatever. So it's different out in Texas, but because people have taken advantage of stuff like that, all of our rights are going to disappear. Now, as I said, during the Great Depression, people were allowed to live in the state park and camp out in the state park. They don't do that no more. You better pay. They got camp areas. So people say, yeah, you need to know how to you need to know how to put up a tent. You better have somewhere to go. You better have somewhere to go, or you're a refugee. Criminal trespassing is what they get you for first. First, they'll give you a criminal trespass warning, and then they'll come and get you, or somebody will get you another way. You don't just show up on somebody's land. Let's see. Consciously Living said, I have a pop-up tent. I have one too. But where am I going to go? My backyard? That's the only place I own. That's the only place I'm authorized to go. You can't just pop up a tent anywhere. It's not legal. Let me see. I love going to Padre when it's crowded. I don't go when it's crowded. I go when nobody goes. Because Padre, you talking about South Padre? We went out there for New Year's. We rented an Airbnb. But I like North Padre better. Because the beach is better. South Padre, everybody says South Padre, but I didn't see where it was so great. Maybe I didn't go in the right place. Shay J says, I'm in Houston and all of the Home Depots have stopped that, but the Walmarts are still allowing it. Yeah. And there's a reason, because people were living in the Home Depot parking lots. They were taking advantage. And they were, they were basically stopping people from shopping. They're parking there, and it's very uncomfortable sometimes when you see. There's a difference between, when you see somebody who's staying there overnight, just passing through, and somebody who's been parked there for a while. So, and some of this stuff look real shady. Some of these people live in vans that are broken down looking. They look like they're not nice people. So it's very intimidating sometimes to be around that. Now in Walmart has bigger parking lots. They go all the way back. They even let them park out there in where was I? I was out there near Ben White, which is South Austin. That's considered South Austin. And in the back, there's people who park there, but they're not taking advantage from what I could tell. Let's see. Prepper Rookie, trash in the parking lot. Yes. And instead of being grateful that you have because it's free, a free place to stay, even though there's no hookups or anything, there's no sewage lines, there's no water or anything, but at least you have somewhere to sleep that basically nobody's going to bother you, and there's good lighting out there. They're going to take their trash and mess up the place. Not all of them, just some of them. Shantae G said, yes, Prepper. She's agreeing. And that happens in the Walmart parking lots. And if they continue to do that, well, then Walmart's going to say don't park here anymore. So anyway, I have talked about the wildlife coming into our areas. I've talked a little bit about canning. I talked about butching. Shay J said true. Prepper, I didn't see the answer. How long do you soak it? I know you can't soak it for very long without refrigeration. And do you soak it in ice water? Because I don't know. I need to know. We've been on here about 76 minutes. Overnight. Okay. Thank you. That's the same thing we do when I went to Virginia, and we had mussels on the side of a dock where we used to fish, and I used to chip them off, and we put it in a big 5-gallon bucket, and we'd soak it overnight and until all the debris come in, and fresh water until all the debris come in. And then the next day we would go ahead. Thank you, Grown Water Eat. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And then we would go ahead and cook it, because if you eat the mussels without purging them, you should do that for anything you like. You have to purge. We had to purge mussels, most of the stuff with the exception of fish. You have to purge that stuff and get all that nastiness out of the shell. Otherwise, it'll taste like eating silt and like eating dirt. You don't want to do that. So I thank you guys for being with me. I'm going to close this down. I know I haven't put out a video. I put out a short yesterday because I said I got to do something. I was gone over the weekend. Sometimes life be lifing. I'm trying to set up another chicken coop to get some of these girls out of here. Mostly the boys, though. Mr. Bardrock is out there. GT Jr. says hello to me. Oh, hello too. Prepper Rookie says most wild game meat has that taste. Yeah, I guess you got to get used to it. Shantae Jean says, thank you. Grown What Eat says, thanks for sharing. Shay J said, excited for the new video. I'll get one out to you as soon as possible. Anyway, I'm going to shut this thing down. I thank you guys for being with me, and I'll see you guys on the next one, okay? Bye.